Hello and welcome to the Nerd Herd. We're your hosts. As always, I'm Shane. This up here, who's this?
It's Scott. Shemai, everyone. How you doing? Thanks for joining.
And who's this?
My name's Philip. Heidi ho.
And today we are talking about my pick, which is the awesome Batman Battle for the Cowl from 2009 from DC Comics, obviously. Do you have to say DC Comics when it's Batman? It's pretty much just assumed, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it was written and penciled by Tony Daniel with inks by Sandu Floria. Floria, is
Yes.
that
Sounds
right?
good.
Yeah.
Letters by Jared Fletcher and colors by Ian Hannin. Yes. So, like I say, this was my pick. It's 3 issues plus 2 1-shots in the trade here. The trade is from 2009. It's got 5 issues in total. But Battle for the Cow is just a 3-issue miniseries. So if you didn't read the 2 1-shots, you don't really have to think too hard with it, do you? They're
No.
just extras. Before we get into thoughts, I do just want to say hello to everyone that's in the chat and wish everyone Merry Christmas, because we didn't see them, did we, over Christmas?
No.
We've got Connie in the chat. Hi, Connie. Hope you had a lovely Christmas. We have Andy from Perpetual Comics. Merry Christmas, folks. We have Comics vs. the World. Have a great show, guys. Thank you. We have Triple G, as always. Evening all.
R.I.P.
I'll read. And we have Jack Talks Comics. Hope we had a great Christmas. We did. I did. Before we get into the book, did you guys have a nice Christmas?
I did,
I'm,
mate. Yeah. Very
I'm still
nice.
recovering from food and drink. It'll take me a few more days, but I think I'll be okay come Friday night.
Just in time for New Year's Eve.
Just in time to do it all over again for a few days. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you had a nice Christmas. I do enjoy the food myself. I'm not going to lie. It's the
It
one
was
time
my
of year where you're allowed, aren't you, to just pig out.
100%. It was my first attempt at making a Christmas dinner this year, and I did well. Amy loved it, so I'm happy.
But
as long
she
as she
she
liked
has
it.
to say that though, doesn't she? Because
Ah,
she loves
Shane,
you.
don't be like that. Don't. Jeez. Let's go on with the chat.
I'm gonna need a taste to prove it, so you're gonna have to
All
send
right.
some out.
Okay.
I've seen a
I'll
picture.
make it all again.
It looked good.
It did look really nice. I'm not gonna lie, but I didn't
It
taste
was.
it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So yes, we're talking about Batman Battle for the Cow tonight. So Phil, why don't you kick us off with your initial thoughts? No, sorry, backtrack. How about we have a synopsis?
Go ahead.
So I did write one down because I'm very well prepared today. We've got hot off the heels of Final Crisis. Batman is dead. And Gotham is without her Dark Knight. It's up to the former Robins, Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, and Jason Todd to step up. While Jason takes up the mantle, he takes on a more brutal, the more brutal aspect of Batman, and decides that killing criminals is the best way to stop crime in Gotham. Thumbs up from me. And Tim takes on the detective side of Batman to figure out who this pretender is, and it brings him into conflict with Jason, causing obviously the battle for the cow, which means the one true Batman, or the one true heir to the Batman legacy, has to step up and stop these two children from fighting and take the mantle himself, Dick Grayson. And so it's basically all three Robins, well, two Robins at the start, deciding that they should be Batman and fighting for the mantle, while Dick Grayson sort of, I don't know, he takes a back seat, doesn't he? And lets them fight for a while before he steps up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very much just a battle royale for the 3 issues, I think. So Phil,
Okay.
I know you like Batman, so be kind.
Well, I do like Batman, but this wasn't Batman. That's not a negative. I mean, I did enjoy the story. I had a good time with it. Although the 2 1-shots that come along with the book bored me to tears. Apart from the Harvey Bullock stuff, I like Harvey Bullock in general. I liked his kind of stories in the 1-shots, but they were completely unnecessary. We didn't need them. So if I'm truth be told, I forget them. I forget what they're like. So I can only really comment on the 3 issues that I do remember. And I had a good time with it. It had its flaws, I suppose. I mean, Nightwing haven't read a lot of Nightwing, but he's never usually this moody, is he? He was quite moody and depressing. Wasn't this, I don't know, charming, flirty selfie as he normally is. But um, this is a story that's kind of been told in different ways multiple times, and Batman has to go away for whatever reason, and you need to have the Bat needs to be a presence in Gotham to kind of maintain crime. Um, but overall, I did have a really good time off it. I'm not a huge, well, I do like Tim Drake, but I don't know an awful lot about him. Jason Todd is a bit of an asshole in this series, and yeah, had a good time. And like the art, I mean, Tony S. Daniel was on pencils and the story obviously, and I can't fault the art. Art was fantastic. There wasn't a part of it I didn't like. There's a lot in it. There were some scenes where like there was quite plain and wasn't a lot happening, but then there's whenever it needed the detail, it got the details. I think. Wasn't inconsistencies. The story dictates it. I'm just rambling on now for the sake of it because I love the screen time. So Scott, what was your initial thoughts about the story and art?
I think this was the first thing I've ever read and seen by Tony Daniel. And I thought I enjoyed it. I kind of like him as a writer. I recently bought Nocterra. Well, Phil bought it for me for Christmas. I recently got Nocterra, and that's by Tony Daniel as well. So reading this has kind of made me excited to read that. It was a really cool story overall. It went by quite quickly, but not in a, this book didn't have enough detail. It was too fast-paced kind of way. There was plenty of detail on there, and it was, very fleshed out story, but it was still fast-paced, and I really enjoyed that. And the only thing I did have an issue with was the Black Mask stuff. Like, why? Like, it just didn't seem to have any impact on what was going on between Nightwing, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and Damian as well. And yeah, when I finished it, I was thinking, so what did Black Mask actually do? Like, did it set up for future stuff, or like, is that what's happening there?
See,
Yeah.
This is what I was going to ask Shane, because I know this 3 issue story was a small part in a whole big event, because there was multiple Battle for the Cowl books, and I am assuming, I could be wrong, Shane, that the Black Mask plays more prominent parts in those books as well, because at one point I think Nightwing says to the Bat family, or the Network, sorry they're called, we now know it's Black Mask, go deal with that. I've got to see Jason Todd, so I'm assuming they went away and fought Black Mask somewhere down the line and left the kind of Batman stuff to the 3 Robins.
Yeah, because there are like you said, you didn't really enjoy the 2 one-shots that were put in this trade. There were more to choose from. You've got a Man Bat, you've got the Network, which is the Network should have been in there. Commissioner Gordon should have been in there. That's a great one-shot that goes along with this. The fact that they chose those 2, the Gazette ones, it really didn't make any sense when you could have continued the Black Mask story. I suppose maybe if you read this in an Omni with all the tie-ins, maybe it would be a little bit clearer. Because, it did make very little sense why they had such a big, Arkham's being exploded and I'm taking all the criminals and they're going to work for me, because it's like a Suicide Squad, because he's got their chemical bomb in their heads and he's just going to melt them all if they don't do what he says. So it was like reading it back out of context. I can completely see how anyone could get lost watching that. Connie does say that she really enjoyed it, but she also doesn't know if she's still too new to DC to know if it's truly good or bad, but she enjoyed it overall. And I think that's fair. If you are new to DC, this is very heavy. This takes place after Final Crisis, where Batman dies, and then you've got this. This is the stepping stone into DC's kind of soft reboot before New 52, where a load of characters get a new number 1. Tim Drake becomes Red Robin, Dick Grayson and Damian become Batman and Robin for an amazing 26 issues of Batman and Robin, which is still my favorite Batman title. And it doesn't even have Bruce Wayne in it, but it's fantastic. So I can understand people getting lost in this. If you step back and just try to pay attention to the Robins fighting for the cowl, maybe you'll have a little bit more enjoyment. But when you are reading everything, I completely get it. It's hard to just jump into this.
For this story in particular, as someone myself who's not read Final Crisis and didn't really understand until, like, a couple pages in that, oh, okay, Batman's dead. But I still don't know why he died, and I feel like it's a bit of a tricky jumping on point for anyone, wanting to have a go at reading Batman. And, this may be a cool contained story for someone to read, but you definitely need some pre-reading for it, I think. So I definitely felt like I lost something going into this. Like, I didn't have everything I needed to know, and it wasn't very well explained. I did learn that Batman is dead, but yeah, I think I just needed to have that bit of prior knowledge.
Yeah, the start could have had a page that just said previously in the DC universe.
Yeah. Batman
just
died,
to give
lol.
you.
Carry on.
Batman died, y'all.
Yeah.
He's really trapped in time, but don't tell anyone. They won't find out till next year. Shh.
And to be fair, Final Crisis is my worst type of crisis. We go back to the 3 quizzes ago for context for that. Yeah, it's the same as Scott was saying. Like, you obviously, Batman's not there, whether he's dead or actually, on another planet fighting with the Justice League. It didn't really matter. The idea that like Batman needed to have a presence in Gotham, because at this point, and this is one thing I really liked, like the crime families were fighting amongst themselves because they wanted to kind of get to the top, and there's no bat interference. They can do what they want. Now it's like them going to like compete with one another, like who's the strongest, who can outgun you, who could out crime you, whatever that means. But and I like that part of it, but we didn't see a lot of it. We just know what's happening. So Two-Face and Penguin are loggerheads, and then Black Mask, obviously, he's gonna gazump them without them knowing it, and I like that. But equally, like, I could be wrong, but this isn't the first time Batman's been missing for whatever reason. And I mean, has Nightwing ever taken the Cowl before this?
Begrudgingly, for a very short period, but while Batman was alive, never as a permanent thing, thinking it would be forever. He's very, very opposed to taking on the Batcat. He was very opposed before, but in this he says that Bruce told him not to.
Asked him not to, yeah.
Yeah, he said he wanted Nightwing. Like, Nightwing and Robin are enough, but it proves that they're not. With everyone they have the Huntress, they have Spoiler, Black Canary, the Birds of Prey, Batgirl, and all these crime fighters, and they're just not enough to scare Gotham straight. It needs the Bat. Batman has to be there. It just shows how important he is, not just to the DC universe, but to that city in particular.
Yeah, the stakes were high.
Yeah. Connie says, I couldn't work out if he was just like MIA or dead or actually dead. So dead or actually dead. Yeah, it wasn't very clear. This isn't a jumping on point. I don't think anyone should ever, if anyone wants to get into Batman, you wouldn't pick up Battle for the Cowl. This is not a jumping on point. This is for a Bat fan who has read multiple Batman stories and knows that he died and wants to see how the next phase of the DCU started. Because like I say, after this, you do get a rake of new number ones. You get Gotham City Sirens, you get a new Batgirl, you get Red Robin, you get Batman and Robin, some really great Bat titles from this. So you would need to have some prior knowledge, unfortunately. I do feel really bad for picking this, like knowing Scott has read so few Bat titles. He must have just been like, who's this now? Who's this person?
Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, and all of the other characters that we do meet in there, I wasn't really lost. Like, what was that pirate lady called? What was she
Squire?
called? Squire, yeah. I like
Pirate
her.
Was she
Pirate
pirate? She was English, wasn't she?
She's a Knight Squire.
She looked like a pirate to me, and she spoke like a pirate. She kept calling him lad, and like I just had like this lady ooh kind of voice on her. But okay, so I got that wrong, but I liked her, and I felt like I didn't need to really have much of an introduction to her. I just kind of accepted that she was around, and all of the other characters as well. I think I was pretty familiar with everyone else, but yeah. it is like the network as a concept was cool. I liked that. It was kind of like the Batman's own Justice League, his own team of Gothamites, of just people involved, just getting, just helping out and just fighting the crime. But yeah, there's a lot of them. I didn't realize there was that many. There's definitely a lot of them.
It's more than you actually know, more than they showed in this as well, actually.
Really? Wow.
I think one thing's for certain that I could be wrong here, obviously, but I think we got all getting bored of the art because I thought the art was splendid throughout the whole book.
Yeah. And I just loved how how the Batman designs, like Jason Todd's Batman design, was great. It's completely new.
Yeah,
While Tim wore a classic costume, Jason's was like, "No, I'm going to make a scary looking Batman." It was great.
Red eyes and guns, obviously, and they have like big things on his shoulders, kind of like Flashpoint Batman almost. Did they have like some sort of shoulder armor? Or am I imagining this?
No, I think you're right.
I think he might have. We might see when we get to our pages, which we should in just a second as we just catch up on these comments. My brother has commented. He says it's a Batman book, so immediately it's a 10. That's not fair. Just because it's a Batman book doesn't mean it's a 10.
That's not a Batman book.
It's called Batman. Yeah, it's Batman Battle for the Cowl. Triple G says he loves seeing Nightwing stepping up. Batman and Robin was a great read. Great fun. It was. If anyone wants a jumping on point, if anyone's sick of Bruce Wayne, read the Dick Grayson Batman and Robin run. It's fantastic. And Triple G also says that Final Crisis was absolutely awful. Some editing there. Yeah, Final Crisis isn't great. It does lead up to Batman's death, but it's not a great miniseries or event. And then Connie says, does Bruce just like adopt these kids and turn them into soldiers? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, 100% does.
When you put it like that, it makes him sound really evil. Like he's just going to like get these kids and like train them how to not kill, but you know what I mean? Like, doesn't sound right.
Well, in the story, didn't it say that Jason Todd was taken in just so Batman could stop him from being his eventual enemy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a bit
that was dark. That was dark. Yeah. And Connie did like the art throughout. She thought it was really cool, and I agree. The art, I don't think you can complain about the art. I think it did have. Do you remember? Was it Noel that was written and drawn by Ben Liebermejo? He wrote and drew it, didn't he? So it flew. There was just this fluid, just storytelling. I think that happened here. You could tell it was done by the same person. Nothing was out of place with the art and the writing, which I really like when an artist and writer is the same person. The story just has this fluidity to it.
I was just going to say, we've read quite a few things now which has been written and drawn by the same people, and there's this. It just exactly like you said. It just seems to flow a little bit better than stories that have been written by someone else and then drawn by someone else.
It definitely benefits the story in terms of what you take 100%. Out of it. 100%,
yeah.
Especially with such a big. Especially with such a big character developing story like this. This is massive for Dick Grayson, Todd, and Tim Drake as well. And so it definitely benefited that it was all done by the same guy.
Yeah, it is a massive thing to pass the mantle over to another character for one of the big three.
Yeah.
Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, they are the big three. And it is a big deal when someone else is taking over their mantle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Before we get to our pages, I do just want to show the covers for this, because they are adjoining. The 3 issues that make up Battle for the Cowl are a gorgeous joining cover. So on issue 1, you have Dick Grayson with Huntress and the Birds of Prey behind him, and then issue 2 was Tim Drake with Knight and Squire, and then Jason Todd with obviously my girl Harley on issue 3. But they joined to make such a awesome screen.
It's like a mural.
That's a wallpaper. I can imagine that was quite a few people's wallpaper back in 2009 on your old dial-up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But yeah,
covers are cool.
And the variants are great. The variants are the ones inside this trade. So
Yeah.
it's like one half is Batman, the other half is the Robin.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
They're really great. All right, if I start with my page.
Go ahead.
please.
So I chose this because I do so enjoy a battle page. I really enjoy when they take an entire page and they show the battle taking place throughout it. And you've got Jason and Tim just battling it out in Jason's cave. And I know there's no background. The background's just that's not the focus. But the movements of them both, you can just see how acrobatic they both are and how, I want to say, evenly matched, but Jason he has that edge because he's just that slightly more brutal, like he's willing to kill. So even though he was trained by Batman as well, he's gonna kill. And you see that with the next page, he proper stabs Tim through the chest. But I love a battle page. It just catches me every time. And the fact that you've got the blue for Tim and the black for Jason, like to highlight which one's obviously meant to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Although is he the bad guy? He's stopping crime, isn't he? Don't matter how you do it.
But in a bad way. What I did like about that, what really caught my eye the most was the way the capes were drawn.
I was going to say the same thing. I love cape movement in a battle scene.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so unique and different for every single pose. Yeah.
That's it. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. So, Scott, we'll go with your page next.
Okay.
Why'd you pick this page?
So yes, even though I did say what was the whole point with Black Mask in this whole thing, I really enjoyed this page. This was like the first time where you could actually see how much like chaos and havoc was being rained on Gotham, and how much how much work that the network had to deal with now that the Batman isn't here, and he's just soaking it all in kind of thing. And I just found that really creepy and menacing and just slightly diabolical. And it's just so cool. Just I just liked it a lot.
So I had also picked this page, and when I first logged into StreamYard, I seen that was Scott had picked it, and the camera and mic wasn't on, but I let a big F you off because I wanted it, so I had to panic get my second choice in. But yeah, I just thought this was really cool. Like in the background, you've got like Gotham's in flames, it's being destroyed, and Black Mask is just in the forefront, like it's like looking over the city, going, "Look at this! Look what I have done! I'm fantastic!" And even the amount of detail in the kind of, the background, like the lights and the tall buildings and whatever else, and the rubble falling down. I think it's fantastic, and the lighting as well, the way it's like portrayed and reflecting off his body is great.
Yeah. What I like as well, it's very much a homage of Batman when he's up on the rooftops, and he's crouching down like a gargoyle. He's even got his coat is flapping like Batman's cape. He's kind of taken Batman's place at the top of Gotham, isn't he?
Yeah. I thought that's cool.
It's a really nice page. I see why you wanted it as well, Phil. Which one did you settle on?
I can't even remember. It was a complete panic screenshot. Here we go. And to be fair, I'm not convinced this is Tony S. Daniel, because this was part of the one.
These were done by different people.
Yeah.
And obviously there's quite a few things going on, and anyone who knows me knows I love a bit of rain, a bit of atmosphere in my pictures, and
loves a bit of rain.
Yeah, it just looks pretty cool. If you look at things like Bullock's face, for some reason, really stands out. Like it's just done really, really well. Like even the stubble, the kind of wrinkles in his face, smoking a big cigar, and you've got the kind of like, is it the haze, like of the rain hitting off the ground, with the light shining through it? It's all very hazy. Is the right word? Like even on top of the umbrellas, it's all quite hazy and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. And again, the level of detail on it was great. Like I say, I have no idea who drew this. It's not Tony S. Daniel. I have no idea who the artist is. This is the first. This is Batman Alive, I believe. It's the first one shot.
I can tell you if you'd like, if you give me a sec.
Batman Dead.
Yeah. Was it Batman Dead?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Told you, complete panic. Whenever Scott picked my page, I'd go and get something else. I did think about this beforehand anyway. But yeah, I just thought this was cool.
So this was written by Fabian Nicieza, and the art was done by Well, it depends on what character we're focusing on for those issues.
Harvey
Henry
Dent.
Bullock.
Uh,
Sorry, yeah,
for
Harvey
Bullock, so for Bullock, the art was done by Alex Connat and Mark McKenna.
There you go.
Well done, Alex and Mark.
With the 2 one-shots, Batman's Dead and Batman's Alive, they put them at the end of the book. Batman's Dead should
Yeah.
have been at the front, and then you read the 3 issues, and then Batman's Alive should have been at the bottom. No,
Yeah,
like
no, I
it should
totally
have
agree. Like,
bookmarked.
we were talking about this before we went live, you and I, and I was saying that, like, yeah, it was just totally in the wrong place, and because you read the whole 3 issues first, and then straight after was this prequel. You know, it should have come beforehand, and then so you've got to place that then in the story in your mind, and it kind of takes you out of the continuity. It would have been fantastic if it just went Batman Dead, Battle for the Cowl, Batman Alive, and that would have been a much more fluid read. Would have been a lot.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it just no less mental faff for us as readers.
That's the thing. Like the 3 issues, so you've read all 3. You've got the start, the middle, the end. You've seen what's happened. The story has concluded. So why give us extra stuff that? Because I'll be brutally honest. I forget them. I don't remember them. They're a wee bit boring. I think partly that's to do with the fact that I didn't care. I didn't try to even think about it because I thought I've got the story. That's done to one side. These 2 issues, I'll read them. I didn't need them, and if I had them to start at the end, like you're saying, absolutely, I would have enjoyed them more. I think.
Yeah, agreed. Logical Robot from Twitch says McFarlane's visual influences still reach far and wide from some of these pages of work. He says he truly was a pioneer.
McFarlane does love a kind of pointy cape, doesn't he? That's
Yeah. I mean, you've got to, haven't you? With characters like Spawn and Batman, what are you supposed to do with their capes? They're supposed to be dark and menacing.
Yeah.
And someone's late to the party tonight. Blue Sonic, hello. He says,
He's late
hey,
to the
everyone,
party
sorry
because he was
I'm late."
at a party.
no, he's not. He's not saying this is why I'm late because I was at a party. He's left that party. He's left that to come to us. That party's still kicking off. That's still going on there. He's left that to come watch us. That's dedication for you.
Thank you for joining.
And he does agree that the extra stories should have been placed better. They should have. I think it was just an oversight with them. They probably wanted more pages for a trade. Perhaps they thought 3 issues was a bit short. You know,
that's for the trade. Yes, but like you mentioned at the start, you could have picked any of the other one shots and put them into the book. Like I say, I really like Commissioner Gordon in general, and he's quite moody and kind of he's seen it all before and nothing surprises him stuff. I would like to see his. Was it a one shot or a series for him?
Yeah, it's just a one shot.
I would have read that and probably enjoyed that more. Similar to the Network again, because ideally I'm thinking they're all fighting the Black Mask stuff. So
yeah, there's also a Gotham Underground one shot. There's a 3-part Azrael story, a 3-part Oracle story. You know, it is a bigger series than just these 3 issues.
Why did we miss all of that and just get lumped with these 2 newspaper article?
What's her name? Vicky Vale.
Vicky Vale, yeah.
I mean, I've read stuff about her before because she's is it what's the newspaper called?
The Gotham Gazette.
Gazette, yeah.
So she's been in books before, but I just thought
it's Kim Basinger from Batman '89.
Is it?
Yeah, Vicky Vale.
So it is. There we go. Every day is a school day. But yeah, I have no interest in Vicky Vale.
Yeah, I think they did well with her. If you didn't know much about her, they explained, she fell from grace, pretty much a TV presenter to now a newspaper reporter again. But then you see her do some actual reporting, some like investigative journalism, and figures out Batman, Batgirl, Robin. She just Nightwing. She figures them all out by the end, and you're like, she actually did her job. And in like less than a night, she figured out who Batman and everyone else was.
I know. I felt like that was a bit of a stretch, really.
She was using her memories though. Like she used to sleep with Batman. She used to sleep with Bruce Wayne, so she saw all his scars and his terrible excuses for them. So, I think she just finally clicked. I don't think it was just like one night of work. I think it was a load of things, all adding up. Chris from Off My Shelves is in. Says, I think originally they were backup stories at the end of the individual issues. I may be wrong, mind. It's been a while since I read it, so putting them at the end It just is just following that. I don't think they were. I have all the individual issues, and the
Of
two
course you.
gazettes are.
How
I
many
have all the
copies of
variants
each do you
as
have?
well.
Do you have a carry copy?
Do a carrying copy as well.
No, but I do have the second printings as well because I'm a bit obsessed. But yeah, so they are all one-shot titles. Yes. So art, we all agree, it's great. Let's get
Yes.
down to the writing and the story.
Connie as well. She did tag us on Instagram as well. She chose a page. We don't have it with us, but she chose a page as well, and it was the one just after my pick where Nightwing is kind of he goes to get the batsuit or goes to look for the batsuit, and it's got a little note on it from Tim saying, you know, I've got it. Yeah, she really liked that page, probably because of the half of the page was like a big splash, and it was, you know, it was Dick Grayson there with all the bats behind him, and it was really atmospheric and stuff. It was nearly my pick as well, so good choice.
Yeah. Nightwing is her favorite DC character, apparently.
Ah.
That'll do. She has recently just read the Tom Taylor one as well, so
yeah. The for that page is really cool as well, and that's one thing we'll mention. We'll talk about the story and stuff. But I quite like. I've never read too much of Tim Drake, but I thought he was really cool in this. I actually think he eclipses Dick Grayson slightly for me as my favorite.
Tim Drake is my favorite Robin, so he's my favorite at being Robin, and then Jason Todd is my favorite previous Robin. So once someone has stopped being Robin, it's Jason Todd. But Tim Drake has always been my favorite at being Robin. He's a mini Batman. He shows in this how smart he is with his, you know, his detective work to figure out who the Batman is.
What's his background in fighting? That's why I mean, he wasn't a gymnast because that was Dick Grayson, wasn't he? Or no? So what was Tim Drake? What's his kind of background?
Trained by Batman.
Is that it? It's just some random guy
Pretty
off the street.
Much.
orphan boy trained by Batman.
He wasn't an orphan though. We saw his dad die, didn't we, in Identity Crisis?
Oh yeah.
That one.
So he is an orphan, but he wasn't at the time.
Yeah, right. Speaking of mini Batman, Damien, he's a character I've recently been introduced to. I've been reading the Dark Knight's Metal stuff in my spare time, and this is my first introduction to Damien, and I thought he was quite cool, a little bit chopsy, but in a confident way in Metal. But in this, I thought he was a bit of a wimp.
Yep.
I was just like, what the hell? Like, this isn't like, obviously I've got a very little knowledge and experience of this character, but which one should I be like accepting more? So is he cocky and confident and a little bit cool, or is he a bit of a wimp?
Yeah. No, I don't understand the writing for him at the start of this book.
Yeah.
That was completely off-brand for Damien. Damien is a cocky, arrogant little that always needs a slap when he's on the page. He was completely unlikable until recently. Like back then, even when he's teamed up with Dick Grayson in the Batman and Robin run, completely unlikable, so horrible and hard to gel with.
Right.
But in this book, he was scared of Croc and Poison Ivy, and
I know he just proper wimped out, and I was like, is this the same kid? What's going on?
Yeah, that threw me off
by
as
the
well.
demon's head.
Because even the part where I think he had Squire. I enjoyed
the pirate lady.
Yeah. I enjoyed his banter and stuff. Because Squire came and he made a reference to like a girl in charge, and she was like a girl, or your mum was once a girl once, or something like that. And I just thought, I mean, Dick Grayson referred to him as a brat, and he's a real whingy, moany brat, and didn't offer a lot. And I was going to wonder why he wasn't really in the running for the Cowl, but I can tell why he wasn't, because he was a bit of a
yeah.
Well, he hadn't been Robin at this point. He was just Damien, because Tim Drake is still the Robin. He only becomes Robin to Dick Grayson's Batman, which then prompts Tim to move on to being Red Robin. So he is just
Damien.
Little
question, please. Who's his mum?
Talia al Ghul.
Oh, okay. Cool. I was like, is it Catwoman? That's the only one I could think of, but okay, Talia makes sense.
That's what annoys me about this, because the fact that his mum's Talia al Ghul, his grandfather's Ra's al Ghul, and his dad's Batman, but he's the biggest wimp in this book. Like that's some good genetic pull right there to kind of be something a bit better than what he was. And
Yeah.
I do like Damian Wayne now. Like I like the stuff now, but in this book, it didn't do well for him.
No, he does get a lot better. Like I say, this was really weird. I don't think he was like this beforehand with Bruce Wayne.
Plus, how old is he in this book? You think?
I think he's meant to be like 11 or 12, isn't
Because
he?
he's picking up chicks, driving a car, picking up chicks, and that was really funny because that chick gets eaten. Because you see the Converse shoe fall out of Killer Croc's mouth. It's hilarious.
He's like, thanks for the appetizer. I had to go back a page to make sure she was wearing those shoes. I was like, oh no, he did eat her. Like, that was Oracle's fault. Oracle catapulted her out the Batmobile.
But why is he picking up? He's 11. Why is he picking up chicks in the Batmobile? He's 11.
Because it's the Batmobile.
Yeah, he's 11. Like, what? You know, how old was she then? Because if she was 11, she's got eaten by Killer Crocs. That's a bit odd.
Yeah, it's a bit sad. Connie says she's read 3 DC books and all 3 have heavily featured Nightwing, so he's my favourite so far. Well, if he's the only one you've read, of course he's going to be your favourite.
She's a big Marvel fan, so congrats to her to branching out to DC. Yeah,
3 is big, considering every single book I've heard Connie's bought from your auction has been Marvel.
Yeah.
And Chris says they introduced him, meaning Tim, with natural detective skills, then trained B6 the Bat?
Before the Bat, I'm assuming.
Oh, trained before the Bat, and it's his favourite Robin as well.
By the Bat.
Okay, by the Bat.
Yeah. My bad. 6 is above Y on a keyboard. Sorry, yep.
I was really confused. I thought I was missing something. It's like, who are B6? Are they a DC team that train people?
B6. Subsidiary.
And then Batman. My brother says, Damian is now, but a naughty word.
Big old naughty word.
He didn't have many fans back in the day. I think he suffered the same fate as Jason Todd. You either loved him or you hated him. There was no in between with Damian. But then they started to do something. They started to team him up, like with Dick Grayson. It was a really good back and forth with him. And then he would guest star in like Batgirl with Stephanie Brown, and their relationship was like this big sister, little brother relationship.
Oh, okay.
And even though they'd be fighting and arguing, it was adorable, and it was like it humanized him a lot, which he really needed, because at the start he was just the son of Talia al Ghul, just this trained assassin since birth, hell-bent on basically just killing bad guys and becoming the good Batman that Gotham deserves, and not the one that she has, basically.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
This whole Jason Todd thing.
Yes.
I called it really early that it was going to be him, but was that supposed to happen?
I don't think it was supposed to be a secret.
Right.
Not at all. I don't think there was ever meant to be any ambiguity between who it was going to be. I mean, you kind of already knew.
Yeah, because I was like, there's only one more Bat Family guy that hasn't really had a role in this book yet. Where is he? And then, oh, of course, there he is. And I was, so it was, that bit was a little bit predictable, but I wanted to double check with you guys to see if that was kind of done on purpose, or is it a bad thing that it was so predictable? Because I'm trying to think of this in monthly issues. So was it supposed to be easily figured out by the readers to then go, ooh, I hope it'll get revealed in issue 2 that it is Jason Todd? Or did they really try to make it tough to figure out, but it ended up not being tough to figure out?
I don't think so. I don't think it was ever like, oh, who is this new Batman? Who is it? Who is it? Who's this super duper violent man going around? You only had 2 options, really. It was either going to be Azrael or Jason Todd. And, once they said he started using the same batarangs as Bruce, you're like, well, it's obviously Jason Todd then, isn't it? Because Azrael doesn't have access to Wayne Tech.
Yeah.
So
there we go. All right.
Yeah.
So, again, not having read too much of Jason Todd, and I know the story about him, obviously the crowbar and the Joker, and his kind of thirst for blood and stuff like that. I get it, but why was he so evil? Like why did he want to stab Tim Drake, and he shot Damian Wayne, and wanted to kill. Like, why? Surely, if these are his brothers, yes, he thinks he should wear the cowl and give Gotham what it needs. But why do that at the expense of your
He's
only
angry
family?
at he's angry at Bruce for failing him. It's always
Is,
about
is that
Bruce.
it? Is that the only
Yeah.
reason? Because that seems a bit like you need more than that just to kill everybody.
Well, it does if you're reading a 3-issue miniseries. If you were reading comics since the 80s, where you get his entire story and his arc and his, the rise and fall of Jason Todd, then you kind of understand his motivations. Bruce has had multiple chances to stop the Joker, and he doesn't. Basically puts him away, Joker escapes. Joker comes out, paralyzes Barbara Gordon, Bruce Wayne does nothing. Goes out, kills Jason Todd, Bruce Wayne does nothing. So you can see why he's so angry at him. And then when he goes to kill the Joker, Batman steps in and stops him. And it's like, but you won't do it. You let him cripple Barbara. You let him kill me. Now I'm going to stop him so he doesn't do this to anyone else, but you're going to stop me. You don't see what's wrong with that? That's why he's so angry at Bruce all the time. Bruce
Yeah,
will
but
not let him kill.
I mean, if Damian Wayne's 11 in this book and he just shot an 11-year-old boy, granted he's not a normal boy, but I just found that part of things a bit too far fetched. Unless he knew it wouldn't kill them, I suppose, because I think he did refer to that, didn't he? That
Yeah, he only
whatever
shot
the
him in the
Kevlar
shoulder.
suit, whatever the Kevlar suit was, so maybe he didn't want to kill them as such, but
No.
certainly each one to believe they killed one another.
If he wanted them dead, he could kill them whenever he wants. He could stroll into Bruce Wayne's manor and just kill them all in their sleep. He doesn't. He just wants to prove that he's better than them. That's what he wants. He needs to prove he's the best Robin. He needs to prove that he is the best Batman. He just has this need to prove himself. And it's his downfall all the time. And it's a shame because he is such a really good character.
I want to know why Batgirl and stuff weren't really considered for the Cowl. So I think they could easily do it because Batgirl will be, for me, after Nightwing, it'll be Batgirl third in line for the Cowl of Batman, whatever.
Which Batgirl?
Oh,
What, Cassandra Cain?
no, the Oracle. Barbara.
But she can't really be Batgirl, can she? She's paralyzed at this point.
At this point, because this is the thing with DC timeline. Even now she's back being the Oracle, but then can still put the suit on and do things. You just know. I have no idea where we're at.
So well, she stayed paralyzed right up to New 52. So from Killing Joke to 2011, she was Oracle. So at this point, Cassandra Cain is Batgirl. She's the one with the ninja costume. Her whole face is covered, and she's got the stitching around her mouth.
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, maybe Batwoman could have taken over. She was in this. Kate Kane.
I liked Huntress. She was good.
Yes, Helena Bertinelli is my favourite Huntress. I'm not too keen on Helena Wayne. But yes, the designs.
The other thing I want to mention, obviously you've seen the 3 covers there, and you had Harley Quinn. She wasn't in this book at all, was she? The 3-issue, was she?
No.
I'm
she's on the cover.
That's the thing. She's on the cover. You think she should be in it. Catwoman. I wanted more of Catwoman because I like Catwoman, but the point where she was in the key in Jason Todd's Batcave with Tim Drake, and he gets attacked. What happened to her? She just seemed to disappear.
Yeah, he knocked her out, didn't he? He knocked her out, and then the fight with Tim happens.
But then the cave collapses. So she dead,
Yeah, she's fine. She's got 9 lives. She's fine.
You didn't see her die, so she's not dead.
No.
But I wanted more of Catwoman. And I want more of the network as well.
Pick up the one shot if you get a chance and have a read of it. You might enjoy it. Let me just backtrack on some comments for a second. Connie says, backtracking on Damian. So Bruce even trained his own biological kid to be a child soldier too. You got to admit, that's a little messed up. In his defense on that one, I will defend Bruce on that one. He didn't train him. He was trained by Talia and Ra's al Ghul. He didn't know about him until he was this age, and he just shows up and he's fully trained. And
Batman still benefits from a fully trained Damian Wayne. It's just...
Yeah.
Doesn't take him away here. Here's a PlayStation. Go be nice over there. He still uses them as a soldier.
Absolutely. And Damian carries a sword as well, so he's a little bit more violent than the other Robins. Triple G says, favourite Robin, you can't beat Dick. Hang on, that sounds wrong. I think Dick Grayson is a load of people's favourites because he was Robin for so long, and he's like obviously the first one. He's so iconic, isn't he? Blue Sonic says he thinks Bruce should have killed the Joker for everything that he's done, but Jason never really got Bruce's code. No, Bruce's not killing code is something Jason never ever wanted to live by, which makes sense. You know, if people are doing these things over and over again, like the Joker and Two-Face and Killer Croc, every time you put them away, they're going to escape and kill more people. If you kill them, they're not going to do that. And I know Bruce once said, if you kill a murderer, there's still the same amount of murderers in the world. Well, then kill 2 murderers, and then there's 1 less. Kill 3 murderers, there's 2 less. It's all with the math, isn't it? You just have to kill more.
Keep going, yeah.
And Chris says, you guys are proving beyond any doubt my main issue with books like this. The amount of previous continuity you need is ridiculous to just understand characters' motivations. And it is a big downfall with most comics today, isn't it? Continuity. You know, it just kind of happens. When you've got 80 plus years of comic books and reboots, you can jump on at the start like New 52 or Rebirth, but now they've renumbered everything. So where do you go? It's kind of hard to just pick up a trade now and have no prior knowledge and just understand everything.
But plus, everything's happened. That's the thing with DC recently in the last year. Everything in continuity, every world, it's all happened. You know, there's no kind of blurred lines like the Killing Joke, for example. Now it's just everything's happened. So there's so much continuity you need to know to kind of understand stuff. Too much.
Speaking of the Killing Joke, I think Pete just got that wrong. He called it the Dark Knight.
I was going to say, is there another one?
Do you think Bruce killed Joker in the last panel of Dark Knight, aka the Killing Joke? We discussed this when we covered the Killing Joke, didn't we?
We did.
I think we all had our own ending and what we thought.
I can't remember mine. But...
Yeah, I thought I think they just lived there happily ever after, and they were just best mates, and no one got killed. But I think that's just my naivety talking. Yeah.
I think out of continuity, he 100% killed the Joker.
Right.
But since it's continuity, he didn't, unfortunately.
It wasn't
right.
Continuity at the time.
No. So I think because the double laughter stops and you just hear one person laughing or you just see one person laughing, I think Batman snapped the Joker's neck. Ooh. Personally.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about the Killing Joke. We're talking about Batman, the Battle for the Cowl.
Yes. And who do you think, before we go to final thoughts and scores, who do you think made the best Batman? Ooh. I know you didn't get to see Dick as Batman. You just got to see Tim and Jason, but...
I was rooting for Tim Drake, to be honest. I quite like Tim Drake in this.
Yeah. Obviously, out of the good one and the bad one, I'm going to pick the good one. You know, and plus, I liked his throwback to one of the original costumes as well.
Yeah, that grey and blue is just so iconic, isn't it?
The yellow symbol as well. It was great. I love that. So I'm going to go for that.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm picking Jason because he was doing what needs to be done to clean up Gotham.
And you love a bad boy. We know it. So.
I do love a bad boy. Okay, shall we move on to final thoughts and scores then?
Yes.
So if you've read it in the chat, if anyone has read this, even if it's not fresh in your mind, if you read it back in 2009, give us a score between 1 and 10, and we will add it to ours at the end. So, Phil, final thoughts and scores, please.
Okay, so full disclosure, I had a score written down, and I've scored it out, and I've went one step lower. Just talking amongst us on the chat as well. I did enjoy the story. Again, we've mentioned before, the 2 one-shots, didn't need them. They made up the trade, that's fair enough, but you could have picked 2 other one-shots and maybe had a better time with it. They were quite boring and forgettable and didn't add anything to me, even though I did enjoy the Harvey Bullock's story off it, because that was the best one of the bunch. The story overall, I quite liked the idea that the 3 Robins are fighting it out. I suppose, you know, they're going to be the top 3 in contention to be the new Batman, and I like the idea that Gotham needs a Batman. It doesn't have to be Bruce Wayne. It needs a Batman. So I like that story. I enjoyed the art, but as we've mentioned, there's too much that's gone before it, that's gone alongside it, and all the other one shots and stuff that's gone after the story. I feel like I'm missing out a huge chunk of something. It may not be good, but I feel like I'm missing something. And for me, that I drop points for that, because it's not like a one and done. Here's a trade paperback. You get the start and the end. You're done with it. You have to like think about other things and stuff. I understand with Batman and DC especially, there is a lot to consider, but that's a big no for me for this book. Definitely not a jumping on point, as we've all mentioned. So don't be jumping onto this. Even though Connie has read this is one of her 3 DC books, so fair play for this being one of them. The art saves it for me. I thought the art was great, and I had a 7 written down because I did enjoy the story. But the more I think about it, I think I was kidding myself. But I've only dropped half a point off it, so it's 6.5 for me. I think that's fair.
Nice. Scott, how about you?
Yeah, it was a cool read. But now that I know I've missed out loads of other like tie-in issues, that kind of bugs me, because when it comes to stories like this, I do like to read the tie-ins. But yeah, the continuity of this trade itself was in the wrong order, so that kind of irked me and kind of took me out of that flow. The art was lovely. I don't think I have many bad things to say about the art, so I'm not going to say any bad things about the art. I enjoyed it, and I'm more than happy to look at stuff he's drawn in the future. It's cool. The story, though, it was fun to see each of the big 3 Robins and their kind of interpretations of Batman's codes and rules, and their interpretation of the whole thing. And that was probably the biggest thing I took away from it. And then the whole Black Mask thing. Yeah, I know you've said that we get to see more how he affects Gotham in the future, but nothing happened in this story. So just reading this, I was thinking, what was the point of them? You know what I mean? So yeah, like Phil, I started out on a higher score, but it's come lower for me again. I think just, usually it's the other way around, isn't it? We talk about a book and we go, oh yeah, you know what, I actually enjoyed that a bit more than I actually thought I did, so we're going to go up. But because of Shane, because of your knowledge and how you've really cleared some stuff up for me as well, and yeah, I think we are missing out on quite a lot in this story, so I'm going to give it a 7.
Fair.
Nice.
So it's hard for me to score because I know the entire story, so I'm focusing on just this. I'm going to score just this. I'm going to try and ignore everything else and just focus on this. So I've done the same thing. I've lowered my score by a point after speaking to you guys, realizing how much is missing, and this is not something a Batman fan who has read 3 books like Connie could just pick up and be like, oh, I completely understood that story. I understand there's so much that needs to go into this story before you can read it. So art's great. We've all said that. There's no complaints. It is just, there's so much history that you need. Even if you just read like the Final Crisis, you wouldn't even get the build up to this, because you wouldn't know who Damien was. You wouldn't know quite a lot of it. So I do understand that, and it's such a shame, because as a whole this would have scored a lot higher had this been like an omnibus with all the tie-ins and one-shots. I think you two might have enjoyed it a lot more, but I've had to bring it down because I am just scoring this book, and for me it's a 7 as well. Maybe in the future we'll do like a special Battle for the Cowl one-shot trade that if they bring one out, which is just all the one-shots together. But yeah, it's a 7 for me, unfortunately.
Okay, cool.
It would have scored higher, wouldn't it? Everyone agrees, I think.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Okay, so from our viewers, we had Tottenham Gaming giving it an 8.5, Connie gave it a 7. Triple G says, from memory, I enjoyed this at the time, but it wasn't amazing, so a 7. And then we've got Dominic. He's just come in late. Oh no, I've missed it. But he has read it. He has also wished us a happy new year as well. Thank you, mate.
Happy New
And he has read it and he's given it an 8 out of 10. And Blue Sonic, he comes in saying, quite enjoyed this. Shame it was a bit predictable when it came to Jason, but other than that, it was a solid story, but more story was needed as we've missed some content here. 7.5 from him. And then Mark Old Droid has jumped in saying, thanks for the review, not one I've read. So with all of your audience scores, that brings your average to a 7.6. Add that to Philip's 6.5 and mine and Shane's 7. We average out to a 7 out of 10.
Oh, nice.
So let's go ahead and see if that gets on our top 10. Yes, it does. So it comes to sixth place, just after Calder.
Nice.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And the rest of the leaderboard currently looks like this as well.
I'm a bit surprised, not so much because of the story, but more along the lines of a Batman book I would have thought would generally score higher.
You said it's not a Batman book.
That's the point. That's why I only scored 6.5. But just in general, I thought, before I even read this book, I would have thought it's bound to be up the top 5 at least. But yeah, 7's still good, but just...
It is because it is very much a middle story. This is the second chapter. This is like watching the second episode of something without watching the first and third episodes. I completely understand.
Like, all of the other Batman stories we've read have either been like volume 1s or standalone stories that you can just you don't need any knowledge prior to it. Like we've read Batman Noel, that's just a Christmas story, isn't it? And then we've had volume 1 of the Scott Snyder stuff, so they have scored higher. But
yeah,
this just needs so much prior knowledge. It's not just Batman you need to read. You need to learn about Nightwing, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and just so much.
Yeah, it's a shame because there's so much potential there to have a book with the 3 Robins fighting it out to be Batman. That's a great premise.
Yeah.
Quick question about the network. They're not a thing today. The network's not like a notable group anymore. Sure, it's not. Like, when did that die off? Did New 52 kill that off?
It carried on through New 52, but I believe it was called Batman Inc.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, it's basically still around today. It's just everyone that Oracle can contact when Batman needs help.
That's me. They don't refer to it as the network as such. Like
No, that ended unfortunately. It never got a title. It got a one shot. It was just always in the background. Contact the network.
Right.
That sort of thing. Yeah, it's got characters like Ragman.
Oh yeah.
Ragman's there. You've got obviously Batgirl and the Huntress and Black Hawk and
that's the thing. Within the network, you have like the birds of prey. You have
Birds
them
of Prey. Yep.
within the network, so it's like a big gang of other little gangs.
It's basically anyone Batman's got in his little black book or his little bat book. Just calls up for help whenever he needs help.
Batman and Bruce Wayne will get their little black books messed up because that could be a disaster.
Imagine that.
Yes. So that was Batman Battle for the Cowl. I think we agree the art is the best thing about the book. The story's decent. Characters are okay, but you do need prior knowledge, unfortunately. My bad. I should have picked Batman and Robin Volume 1.
Next time.
Whose choice is it next week? What are we reading next week?
Let's see the clip.
Where is it? Are we ready? Let's see what we're reading. Some great pictures there for Nameless from 2015 for next week.
Yes, written by Grant Morrison, so get your weird hats on. We're going to have a fun ride.
I'm looking forward to that. That artwork looked actually really, really good. So, yes. Before we go, I just wanted to just say, look, Chris from Off Myself said, Chris says, this episode should be named Shane Explains DC History.
That's a
to
video
Kels.
series for you right there. Yeah.
Yes.
No. I enjoy being able to explain a little bit about the comic books, especially if you haven't read them, because it's a shame that you have questions when you've read a book. You know, you should, like Phil said, you should be able to read a book from start to finish,
Yeah.
and that should be it. I feel bad, but that's
Still
all right.
scored really high, so just
The end of 2021. I'll do better next year, I promise. So before we go, just want to wish everyone a happy new year, however you're going to be celebrating, and we will see you in the new year in 2022 with Nameless from who's the publisher for that, Scott?
Image.
Image.
Yeah.
Yes, Image.
Image from 2015. So if you've got time, if you're hungover on New Year's Day, pick it up and have a read and join us next week for Nameless. So for the last time in 2021, get your waves out.
See you next year.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Love you.